Hi there and welcome back to the Demand Drivers podcast. My name is Chris from Melotti Media.
Hello, I'm Kristen Hancock from Fontaine's Watch.
Hi, I'm Mike Sandys from Oddball Marketing.
And today's episode is going to be on recession-proofing your business through marketing or using marketing. So, recession.
Are we in one? Are we not in one?
Are we in one? Are we not in one?
Look, you know what? Australia seems to be quite resilient as an economy. However, I think that we need to broach this anyway.
Oh, yes. Because things are getting tighter at the end of the day, aren't
Yep.
they? Interest rates are going up. You can see consumer spending is getting tighter. So we need to address this. We need to talk about it.
It's definitely one to definitely be in the forefront of our minds and stuff, because the killer with recessions is you don't know whether you're in one until they finally announce it. Well, that's 2 quarters negative, right? Negative growth.
Yeah.
So that's 6 months into it, you realize you're in a recession.
And actually, to that point, the thing that I noticed recently was the fact that the media was all going, recession. But what actually happened was I was going to networking events and a lot of people were saying, oh, like, what recession? But what ended up hitting was the media said it, and then like 6 months later is when it all sort of ground to a halt. And I've got a lot of finance clients that said that.
You remember the conversations that we were having, and where we actually found that things were softening slightly was actually more having conversations with people that were operating in our space and finding what they were experiencing.
Yeah.
So, and therefore, I think that brings us more onto the topic of what do you do?
Yep.
What do you do when you find yourself in that space? Because regardless of whether it's now or later, at some stage you're going to have an ebb and flow in your business.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Well, look, usually the first thing that people cut is marketing. And I know we're all marketers, so we're going to advocate against that. But look, I think giving the reason why is important. And I work with a lot of B2C and B2B clients, and I find that even in a recession, it's not that people and businesses don't have money, it's just that they're being more conservative with using it. And so you have to provide a show of value than ever before.
You've got to be more compelling.
And that's it. And I think that's where marketing really plays, is that conversion piece.
Yeah, I think, Chris and I have had good conversations around this, around the financial side of things, given our sort of backgrounds. But I think I look at it and think that it's because when we look at our accounting, we look at where we spend our marketing and we put it in this sort of operating costs sort of line item. So you go, okay, great, it's an overhead to the business. So naturally, when you go heading into a recession, what do? You look at, all right, well, let's cut any fat that we've got in the organization. Let's get those overheads down so that we can kind of weather the storm. The downside or the problem with that is that the way I tend to like looking at marketing is more as a cost of sale rather than an operating expense, because it's an investment in getting people to actually demand your products and services that leads into the actual sale occurring. Yeah. So it's one of those things you kind of look at on a line item, you say, well, I'm going to cut that out. Yeah, right, but that's like trying to cut the cost of goods.
Yes.
You get a temporary thing out of that, but long term, you're actually going to start losing money. So that's where I think everyone needs to rethink the marketing side of things and say, well, actually you're spending money to attract customers to actually then sell your products.
Yeah, and I think what you're really driving at there is you need to be of a mindset that if I invest in marketing now, then I will drive the top line.
Exactly.
So rather than cutting, because if the direct impact is if you start cutting, you'll actually reduce the top line. It may not be immediate, but it'll have a negative effect.
100%.
So look, I actually think it's a really big opportunity within a recession to be seen more, heard more, and connect more with your customers and with your core audience, because the majority of your competitors and the majority of the market will be in the flip side of the mindset, which will be, I need to cut back. One of the first things I need to cut back is my marketing. So if you're one of the few businesses out there that are saying, no, this is the time when we'll take the opportunity to actually invest more time, you'll probably find that if you are doing any sort of advertising, it's becoming a little bit cheaper because there's not as much competition for the time.
If you think about it from a recession point of view, that's the whole market sort of dropping,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So you got to think, well, okay, so the market's dropping. What do I do within that? Do I drop with that and stay at my current proportion of the sales that are out there, or do I take this opportunity to kind of take more of what's out there?
Exactly, and grow. And one of the things that I find in business as well, audiences and customers react well to businesses that appear confident and proactive. And when you're in a negative environment, if you're the confident, proactive business and you're compelling as to why they should engage with your brand and compelling as to why they should purchase your product or service, then you find that more audience come to you.
Yep.
Because they want to be close to that confidence. They want to be to be with the businesses that are doing really, really well. Whereas if you just drop back, then you're back into that space of, well, you're just the also ran.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, I mean, COVID showed us this, right? Like, I know we hate that word, but like, it's the truth, right? If we learned that the businesses that spread their wings versus the ones that stopped. Because it's true, because you had that space suddenly. You know, people sort of went quiet, whereas a lot of brands went big, and I was one of them that that really gained a lot of market share from that time, just because I was jumping on it.
Yeah, we had the same positive response. We really pushed within COVID, and we found that we got really positive response from our clients and our existing clients, where we weren't. One thing that we really strongly avoided within COVID, and then we always avoid within recession, is we avoid the classic tactic of let's cut price, or let's do sales or anything like that. Now our business doesn't lend itself to sales, but we certainly didn't cut price, because we find that draws them away from brand engagement and pushes you into a transactional nature in a really challenging environment. And that's the place you do not want to be.
And that's a good point, actually. I think what happens in a recession that I've seen anyway is people go into that whole mass lead gen. Have you guys seen that? Like, all I see on LinkedIn is people messaging me going, I'm a lead gen company. I'm a lead gen company.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people doing that promotion right now. And I think that's what happens is people abandon the usual and go, well, lead gen is the thing I need to do.
I mean, it's a natural thing, right? Because you've got to look at your return on investment, and direct response advertising is what, generally speaking, gets you that better return on investment, or at least that you can measure that return on investment and know that it's definitely giving you that return. I think that's the key.
People are wanting to measure something in a recession. It gets tighter, so they want to see, where's my direct result right now?
Yep.
And therefore they want to measure, rather than actually engaging and building brand and building the connectivity.
Yeah. So we've made the point. Which is great. So what do we do? What do everyone listening and watching?
I think from my point of view, the way I would look at it is planning and preparing for it. Because we don't know that we're in a recession till 6 months into it. At that point, it's kind of almost too late. Well, it's never too late, but it's kind of like you're well and truly behind it, trying to make up for it at that point. Whereas if you're planning and preparing for it and actually taking proactive steps early on, you're actually in a much better position to ride that storm as that occurs, and whether it's trying to gain market share while the whole market's declining, or if it's just trying to maintain what you've got during that period. Either one's fine. Just, it's a lot easier to plan and start working towards that before it occurs than it is to react to it afterwards.
Absolutely.
Especially if your business has taken a hit as part of that recession, you haven't got a war chest really there to necessarily work with. So now you're really behind the eight ball. You're on the fence, or and trying to fight from there is really difficult.
Do you think people go into panic mode? Like, do businesses go into panic mode and do that knee-jerk reaction?
Hell yeah.
Right?
We get that all the time.
And
Any
that's
sort
what I
of
think.
declining sales environment, businesses start doing knee-jerk reactions.
Yeah, and that's
basically, trying to
never a good
capture it back.
situation,
No.
right? Like, that's never, when you have that's when you get that whole, like, just try anything, and it's, look at the bright thing, look at that shiny
It's
thing.
high pressure, it's expensive, there's a lot of waste that
Expensive.
occurs at that time too, as you really try to turn things around and get it moving quickly.
Yeah. So what's the answer? I mean, you mentioned planning.
For us, I'm sure, Chris, you'll have some views on it, but for us, firstly, we encourage our clients to focus on their existing customers, because they will be targeted by others, and they're probably going to be targeted with sales promotion type activity. So focus on your existing customers. Make sure that you're reinforcing value proposition, making sure you're reinforcing the emotional connectivity as to why you're connected to that brand. And therefore you're showing them why you're offering value.
Yep.
Okay. First that's where you must start. The other piece then is build the brand awareness and be more visible in the market. Certainly don't step back, but don't just push the whole promotional activity. It's actually we're pushing more brand awareness and doing that style of marketing, because we feel that resonates more in a recession. Otherwise you are attracting a transactional nature at a lower value sale.
Oh, I'd have to agree, Kristen. I mean,
view.
what I did with my team, which worked really, really well, was brainstorm. So we came together and we said, right, let's not do the knee-jerk reaction thing. Let's work out what we can do that's more cost-effective. So, for instance, we looked up and we started to, we're copywriters, so we started to do a lot of articles and case studies and things like that was all providing social proof to lubricate that sales process.
Yes.
And it was cost-effective and very effective. And it
was any of it discounting?
No. And what I found was it was more like things like, we were coming up to the end of the year. So what we did was we came up with a mini campaign saying, don't let your break your business. And we said, you're still going on holidays. Let us take care of some of your items that you haven't got done on your to-do list so that you can go on your holiday with peace of mind.
Yep.
And that worked really well. We got a lot of inquiries through that. It was very cost effective, and we tapped into a real need and a pain point that people wanted, rather than going, we need leads, right? And I just found that kind of marketing worked really well.
So that was more reliant on innovation.
Yeah.
And you're also explaining and communicating more what the value is that you're offering and why they need it. So you really emphasise to me that's the type of marketing that you should be doing within a recession, rather than just, what you could have done as a flip side is, okay, we'll write 3 blogs for X amount.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure
that probably would have
works for
gotten
people,
you revenue if you're desperate for revenue. Maybe that would have gotten you, but would it have gotten you a sticky customer?
No, probably not.
I think the other thing probably to throw into this is to think about demand. And great
We're on the
topic as
demand
such, right?
drive.
Is think about demand, and think about in terms of the work that you're doing, and start building that demand before the recession. And there's nothing wrong with too much demand, right?
Yes.
Like, is there such a thing, really? In terms of, like, is that a bad thing for business? I think often as business owners and managers as such, we see all this demand, and we see this demand for our service, and we go, oh, geez, all right, we better ramp up to service that demand. No, you don't have to. So if you've got your marketing, all your activities working, so you've got this, large amounts of demand for your business. Yeah. Okay, the recession hits. Well, the whole market drops a bit, but you've already got too much demand anyways. And so for you to ride through that recession is pretty easy because you're in a really good spot beforehand and then can just ride through it without much drama at all. So we should be looking at it and saying, well, just because I've got enough demand at the moment, no, that's not actually good enough. Let's get it so we have too much demand. And if you look at any business out there, too much demand is a really powerful position to be in, where you're the leader. You've got the ability, you've got the control of the transaction to be able to decide on what you do. You've got so much more power in that position than if you're constantly desperate for more business, trying to look for the next lead, the next job.
And I suppose just to change the topic slightly, is there any particular channels or methods of marketing that you guys think about during recessions? Do you change in any way? I mean, Mike, you would have probably a really good.
Yeah, look,
perspective on that.
Is there a blanket one we would go to? No. There's a lot that we would look at with any business, and we would shape a campaign during a recession or a downturn. We then shift which channels we sort of emphasize and do more work on at that time. So because we do stuff across a lot of different channels, we'll pick the channels and just focus on those ones to make sure that their dollars are going the furthest they can at that time. Yeah. So like we want to do a lot of preparation work and make sure that we're in a good position. And at the same time, when we're going through that experience, it's natural to shift the budgets into the right place. So we're not necessarily dropping budgets. We're just reallocating those budgets in the place where we know we get the most efficient results at that time.
Okay.
I mean, for me, it's networking. Like I know, but it really is like I just see that as another form of marketing. And I found that what I would say is during a recession, people typically, it's not that they don't buy. It's just I feel like the sales process takes a lot longer. Like the conversion rate. If a usual client in a usual situation would have converted in say 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then it sort of extends to like a month to 2 months.
Yeah.
So what I try and do is accommodate for that, right? But it's also like getting out there. Like I've sent a lot of my team to do networking events that they wanted to do, and being in the community, I find is really, really good because like you were saying before, Kristen, in a place of recession, people are a little bit sensitive. And so when you meet people and you talk them through things, they go, oh, that is something that I would invest my money in. Whereas right now, what we said at the start, which is when people go into knee-jerk lead gen reaction, people like your customers are getting bombarded with constant like, hey, do you want to buy this? You want to buy that? And so they're going, overwhelmed. So I would move that way.
Yep. Absolutely. That's it for me.
Yes. Anything else?
Look, just to leave it with people, I think the absolute focus: be visible.
Yep.
In a recession, be more visible than your competitors, and first and foremost, target your existing customers first because.
Defensive strategy.
You don't want to be losing them, and they will still have money to spend, and then brand build around it.
Well, that was a great one. So,
Awesome.
The main point of that, I feel, is that in a recession, if you want to recession-proof your business, it's don't cut your marketing, just be smarter with it, and plan better. So, so thank you Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Van Drivers podcast. This was the episode where we discussed recession-proofing your business through marketing. Please subscribe to our channel and watch all our great content, and we'll see you in the next episode.